Buddy the dog, what are you doing, pal? Just licking the grass? Okay, that's fine. Remember the 8-in Ford? Well, we are going to try to make it more better right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, Ross the Oliver Man. That was Buddy the dog. He's off on an adventure now. But in the last installment, we got this little 8-in Ford to run, only to discover that it has a lot of sadness going on from its previous life. You know, I'm not happy with much of anything about the wiring on this setup, including, but not limited to, this key switch, which is a piece of garbage, and it's not making connection the whole time. So I think I got enough stuff here to make that, you know, better. But let's just see if today it will fire right up again. You know, why not? Come on, little 8-in Ford. Turn the key on. Fires right up. Got to remember, this one you got to push in to choke. What a sweetheart. There. Can you see what see how this does nothing? And then you can sometimes do this and it'll cut in and out because it's all over. There, see? I didn't turn it backwards because that's off. But anyway, that's what we're going to fix. We're going to make that more better. Because he said too, when I talked to him, he said, hey, he said, what would cause that thing when it was running? He said, it would just randomly cut out and quit. And I said, well, that's what I'm calling you about. I'm pretty sure that the key switch is the problem. So, he also asked about, if I can get in my bag of tricks here, he also asked about maybe potentially getting this going again. That's the factory start button. The only problem with that is this has to operate off of ground. When the tractor was positive ground, it wasn't a problem. The button would work fine and life was grand. But now, I've ran into this problem before on these Fords. And this is the way you see them 90% of the time. Somebody's just put a push button in. And the reason being is you have to have a solenoid that uses ground to activate instead of hot. Like this solenoid uses 12 volts positive to make the connection between the two. And we would need one that uses negative to make the connection in order to use that button. And for what he's wanting to do here, the cheapest route is not to replace that and start. No, the cheapest route is to do what I'm about to do. And it will also take care of another problem, which is he wants to have a key. And these on-off keys like this are just not the thing, friends. I mean, I can't even get the key out of the thing. That key's been in there a while or something. There we go. Those are just not heavy enough, in my experience. So what I ended up doing to try to make the best of both worlds for him, I got a key switch that is kind of like the Oliver key switches, except for it's not the same kind of key. And we're going to put that in there, I hope. And then this thing's going to be a key start. And that's going to do two things. It's going to replace this crappy switch and this crappy button, because the button has corrosion too. So it's only a matter of time, I think, before sadness would befall us, and we would have to be working on that as well. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, friends. If his solenoid was bad, then I would probably pursue doing that, but he doesn't need a solenoid, so we're not going to do that. If someday he wants to do that, that is his problem. or his thing that he can do. We need to take the battery cable off because we are about to disturb this thing in a very dramatic way. I mean, there ain't nothing gonna be nothing's gonna be where it was. We're gonna see if we can get the battery cable off. It's kind of crapped. Oh, there we go. All right. Battery cable delete. Now, we're going to take a look here at what we've got. One end of this key is going to the resistor block. Oh, and it's also been spliced into more stuff, has it? Yes. So I don't like that. Okay. The other end was going to a screw terminal on a fuse block, which is not being used other than anything. All they were using it for was a junction block for all these wires. And that doesn't really make sense because his headlights have no fuse. They should have been run through that fuse block, and we're going to try to do that if we can make all this stuff happen. Why am I using that when I have a perfectly good pair of red pliers right here? Oh, friends, we're going to have... I need the second pair of red pliers. Here, second pair of red pliers. Here, boys. Oh, maybe I don't have them in my bucket. That's okay. We could maybe use this very... I don't know why that's being so stiff. Okay, we're going to struggle, friends. But that's okay. That's the only way we know how. Okay, that's not, it's not stuck. It's just everything is corroded. Can we spin it by hand yet? Boy, we need some, we need to get some of the Zep for that wire stripper thing. Clean that up and get it lubed. Come on. Come on. Uh-oh. Well, now it's not going to hold back. There. Come on. You can't see what's happening, but this trim ring does nothing. It was like crimped on there. And now what's happening is it's spinning, of course. It's spinning and it won't hold back. And we're getting frustrated, friends. We're getting frustrated. I'm gonna have to pull these apart and clean them because that's just ridiculous. Maybe it tightened up itself actually. I don't know. Focus. My ADD brain is not focusing on the task at hand, which is key switch. Look at the corrosion, friends. And that's just what we see. I promise you that inside there, the same type of thing is going on. All I did here was touch it and it broke off. That could have been part of the trouble. This could have been vibrating and not making connection because there ain't much there to do nothing. Now, the struggle is going to be, oh good, it fits right in there. I was worried that we were going to struggle bus. We were going to have to figure out how to okay. Let's see if we can. This whole thing is the basis for our our remodeled electrical system here. Oh, I did have it backwards. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, I got an idea. Come on. Alright, that fits in there beautifully. Beautifully? Yeah. Do I like it though? I think so. Alright, let's do this too whilst we're thinking about it so we don't forget. Put his keychain on there. Alright. Now let's see what's going down here. So we will need a wire to go from here up to, we're going to take it up to the gate. We're going to actually start over on most of this because this thing is horrendous. I just can't, I can't do this. There's too much that's not good. And all it's going to do is cause him problems. And if he's trying to do snow or something, he's not going to have time for messing with stupid stuff that we could just take care of now. So we're just going to start totally over on a lot of this. Because it's, like I said, it ain't nothing to write home about, friends. These two can come out of there. One of these is going to the push button, which we are also replacing with the key, so we don't need that anymore. And then the other one is going to, I think they have it running to that junction block, which is not, that's not kosher. You see what they've done? This is a fuse block where you're supposed to power in here and then take your fused off leads from each side, and it would hold 6 fuses. And all they've done is just put everything on that deal there. And that just isn't gonna do it for me, friends. There's just so much, this hurts my brain. Like, I don't know. Come on, you. Come on, you. Come on. Frustrating. I think my, there we go. I was gonna say, I think my wire pliers is getting dull. I need to find a Snap-on man and see about if he will warranty. Okay. This wire was doing ignition, and I want to see what else it's doing. I suspect that they had it as the trigger wire for the alternator, which that kind of doesn't work either. Let's see what they got here. Okay, where was it going? Oh, people, look at this mess. So they had it going to that junction block, and then nothing is happening here. That's going to go away too, because we don't need that. So they had that wire. We just took off sending hot power the whole time the key was on to this junction block, which is doing nothing because there's nothing attached to the other side. And then the other one, they've got one screw on, and I would suspect that those are going to the headlights. So that's kind of dumb. I mean, so we're not having that, is what I'm saying. It's going to be a lot of fun, friends. Let's go over here now and start to sort what we got. Well, let's do one more here. So we took care of that wire. We don't need, we know what's what. Here is our other. Okay, I'm gonna trim this a little long so I can remember what's happening here. But basically, these wires are gonna go away. And we're gonna start over. So we need a battery wire that's actually a heavier gauge than this, because this has already been having the melting of sadness. But the wire from the battery to this gauge should be heavier gauge wire than what this is. It was actually the yellow wire. So we need to improve that. So we need a wire to go from the starter heavy wire to the alternator, to the charging gauge, and then we need a wire to go from the starter solenoid to the key switch center post, which tells it to crank. And then we need a short wire to go from the key switch to that resistor block. And then that'll do. So this wire here that I left long is one we're going to replace, and we're going to put it with a that is going to end up with the 2 wires on it. Actually, we are going to end up with a wire that goes all the way to the starter to the battery post, and then we're going to have another short wire that sends power to our switch from there, because right now we don't have any way to get power from our switch. The other one was getting power. They had it over to this block again, which is not the way to do that, friends. I mean, all of those on one thing, no. Then this wire can go away because it won't be used. It's for our push button. It's so corroded it'll probably break right off. Yep. So let's get rid of it there. That's actually a kind of a heavy piece of wire. They used a really heavy piece of wire for something that doesn't need a heavy piece of wire, and a not heavy enough piece of wire for something that does. So some of this I may reuse if there's a good section and I can recycle it for something else. I might do that thing, but basically I think we're going to start all the way over. I'm just taking her all in, friends. So this is not as difficult as it looks, because some of you are probably going like, oh my gosh, you just cut out all those wires. How are you going to know what's what? No. See, like this one here. There's a wire that's going to nothing. So why is that on there anymore? We don't need that. That can go away. I do want to try to, I don't know if I can save that fuse block or not now that I look at it. It's pretty corrody. But I was going to use it for his headlights. So then what the other wire from this gauge should have done, is what I'm getting at. It should go all the way to the alternator, but instead of doing that, they jumpered it to this block and then jumpered from there to the alternator, which, sure, that follows the same path, but that's not good, friends. Why would you splice that wire when you could have one nice wire all the way there? That's the kind of stuff we're going to unconfunculate here. Because the other reason is, if you start having trouble with something, it's a lot easier to sort out what your problem is if you've only got the wires you need. You know, when you start having wires like this, where it's not doing anything at all anymore, why would you want this just hanging around? I mean, This is literally doing nothing and hasn't been for a while. I thought maybe it was like a backlight wire for a gauge, but none of these gauges have lights, so why? Why, friends, why? Then we have a wire that's coming right off the battery, and that's how the guy hooked up the headlights for this person, which is terrible because that could cause a fire instantly and have problems. So we're not doing that, friends. We're going to start over and just make this way different, because it's corroded anyway, like this. I don't know. It's just frustrating to me that sometimes when people wire stuff, it seems like they're going out of their way to make it more difficult than it has to be. It doesn't have to be this difficult. And then if you're going to put wires in, why leave it to be like 10 feet long? Why wouldn't you just use the amount of wire that you need, cut it off, and then splice it and go? Live your happy life. So we're gonna start again. And I'm thinking that junction block is just gonna go away now. I'm kind of over it myself. We could save his headlight wire to a certain point. That looks like it's a heavy enough wire for the job that it's doing, but we're gonna have to get it the correct way. Let's go over here and see what kind of nonsense we find, because that's another wad of wires that breaks my brain. There, we don't need all that. Okay, where's that wire I like how somebody was thinking to zip tie some of these up so that they don't get on the manifold, but the sloppy wiring job, friends, is just... Okay, here's the wire that's attached to that light that goes nowhere. It's melted. Look at that. Is it melted, or was that one? Nope, it's melted. Corroded and melted. So that ain't doing any good. Let's see where it goes, because I'm curious where it goes. Come on. Now, play nice. Oh, there's that wire to nowhere that we just took off a minute ago. Turns out there's a lot of wires to nowhere on this tractor. If I had to give this tractor a name, I would call it Fire Hazard. Sure. Okay. Oh, well, the wire to nowhere actually was the wire that is supposed to be triggering this alternator to charge. So what are they doing? Because it was charging. Did somebody change it over to the one wire style inside? Or was somebody using, at one time, somebody had this rigged up as a charging light to see if it was charging, and then that bulb blew and they abandoned that project. Oh my gosh, this is just, it's just crazy. I mean, okay. All right. Somebody needs their wiring tools taken away from them. Okay, let's get rid of that. There's another wire we don't need. This is the wire to nowhere. Let's just get rid of it, because that's all going to go away anyway, but for now we'll just clip it. We might save this one wire, this headlight wire. That might be the wire we save. Okay, this one is the ignition wire. That needs replaced because it's bad up here. And then this yellow one is the one that's going all the way, and it's not heavy enough. It goes all the way to the gauge, but they didn't take it all the way to the gauge. They stopped it and made it sadness instead. Also, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna see if I don't have another one of those plugs on hand that fits in there real nice and makes that real pretty. And then we won't have that struggle bus. But basically, this whole thing is garbage. There is not one nice thing about this wiring. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. It needs to be better. And we can make it better. We just have to. The only thing we might keep is this wire here. We can take that end off of it, and we can splice in a spade connector or something and plug the two together and live our happy life. But so far I'm not enthused here. Okay, now the only thing that could be slightly overwhelming about this is the fact that we need to take into account while we're doing this, we need to take into account how much wire it's actually going to take to make it physically stay nice up here where it doesn't get into something hot. So it may not be the shortest distance between 2 points. We may actually have to have extra wire so that we can tie it up like it was to the fuel line or over or whatever we got to do so that the stuff doesn't get burned. That's the bad thing about these Fords like this 8-in style, is that it's just, there's so many ways that you can destroy your wiring. For example, the belt of sadness that takes out your spark plug wire. See, we might keep that one wire, but that's about it. Then the rest of this is going to go away. That's our ignition wire. That did it run all the way to the block? Yes, it did. Okay. And then there's our wire that was running. I don't know, that's just so stupid. Let's just get it off of here. Let's get all the wiring off of here so we can work clean and not have trouble. All right. Can we get our wire pliers in there to take the nut off the coil? Yesterday we did it by taking the distributor off the tractor. We're not going to do that today. We've had our proof of life, so we don't need to. Let's get that off of there. Let's start this back on there. 1 8-in Ford electric delete. Now we will start back. All right. I did not have one of those plugs, despite the fact that I thought I ordered a bunch. I go through those like crazy. I use a bunch of those. But I did get some wiring, so we can start figuring out what we're going to do here. I don't know if there's baffles up in here, but I'm tempted to take the wiring up to the hood up inside here as much as possible. Take it up here and then tuck it behind this lip, and then there's a channel that goes all the way back to here and then come around. That would probably be the more better way to do this, so I'm going to give it a try. Now I'm going to have to put this stuff up in here, mock it up, and then I will take it back out, tape it together, or whatever I decide to do, so that it's exactly what we want. We can make some of the connections loosely, and then we'll we'll do it for keeps later, is what I'm saying. I guess you don't need to look at the sky. You could look at the tractor. I can never tell what you're looking at. I don't think these are big enough, are they? Let's see. Is this bigger? Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. So we're gonna go. I did get some. Yeah, I thought so. I got some bigger ones than that if we need them for the other side. Let's get this like this. Come on. Alright. Don't think I haven't forgot what you did to me yesterday, Aiden Ford, when you cut my finger open. I don't forget that easy. Right now, all I'm doing is just putting this together enough to know what my length of wire is going to have to be for everything. So don't freak out when you seem to think that I'm not doing it right, because that's not what we're gonna get it. Don't worry. Sadly, though, we're going to have to table this probably till tomorrow. We're going to run out of daylight. Okay, so you might as well be in on the struggle bus. The struggle bus is anytime you try to reuse crap, you have a hard time. And I'm having a hard time saving his charging gauge, which was working. So I really don't want to have to get him a different one. That's what I'm saying. I want to be able to do this in one nice pass. That's going to be fine. That'll get me up where I need to go. Do I want to go with the ring terminals like I had? Yes, I do. I have to. Okay. I have to because of the gauge of wire. So I will get this. Don't worry. I'll get it. Dang. It's kind of hot and sticky out here. I'm dripping sweat. Okay. I'm amazed his temperature gauge is working because it looks like somebody was pretty hard on it right about there at some point in its life. And it's kind of impressive that that is still intact and was working. We're going to try not to disturb it because we don't, like I said, we don't want to have to do more than necessary. All right, there we have our hot wire from the gauge, or from the gauge to the alternator. Now the other side will actually end up with 2 wires on it, because we're going to have one that's hot, one that goes to the battery, and then a jumper wire that's going to send power to our key. And here again, I'm going to try to save this. That one came loose a little easier. It may still not work, but we tried. The nuts on these are actually brass, which makes it kind of difficult, because you can't squeeze on them too much or you will distort their shape, and then they get tighter. So then you gotta okay. Come on, I want to delete that. That side's gonna go to the battery and key switch. Now, whilst we're over here, let's make our new wire that's going to go to our coil, and we'll bring it up and we'll tie it to this, and then we'll follow around so that we can get it the right length. What do you think for that? Green? Brown? Let's go with green. Green is a nice happy color. Go behind here. Follow the same path we just followed with this, which I guess doesn't matter because it fell right out, so it'll be fine. Let me get a terminal put on this, a smaller terminal. Okay. And we need to take this wire somewhere through here. Let's go this way. Actually, let's go this way, but then we'll tie it to the... Is that what we want to do? I think that's the way the other one was. That way it'll keep it out of the belt as well. So, let's try that. Let's go there. Let's tighten that one up. I don't know. You probably can't see what's happening. I gotta be gentle because somebody twisted off the stud on this coil part way, so we don't have the full amount anymore. So we have to be careful about it. Then that wire's going to go up here, and it's going to join in with this one. Let's put a temporary piece of tape around there to hold it, so we can keep these together a little bit. And then we'll around. Where do we need to go for that one? About the same length. About the same length. So let's take that. If it doesn't make sense what I'm doing, don't worry about it. It will later. I got my own way of sorting this out in my brain. Right now I'm just determining how long I want to make each end of wire so that they match up pretty good. And then when we're done, we'll make it really super nice. We'll get it, I promise we'll get it. Now we're going to go a little bit longer than this. And this one needs a push-on connection. Because it's going to go to the key switch, or to the resistor block. Because the tractor did run with that, so we're going to put it back just like it was. Alright friends, you keep getting too hot, but I got this end done. We've got our new battery wire. We got to get a plug, so ignore that right now. This will be the wire that signals that plug. This will be the wire to the headlights. This is the wire to the coil now. I used some of the loom that a viewer sent, so that's pretty handy. We'll pass on the happy times and, you know, good fortune to this person. So that's in there. We'll get that zip tied up out of the way. We will need to run a new wire from his key, or from his headlight switch, through a fuse somehow, and I'm going to use a heavier wire than this, but we'll figure that out here shortly. But I think we're ready to move to the other side of the tractor and start sorting out the wiring on there. Let's see what we need to take with us so we're not running around looking for stuff. But you can see in here how this is going to go. So this will go here. I had it on there a while ago and then took it back off so I could get the wire pulled out and the stuff tied together in a loom fashion. So that'll go there. This will go to this. The brown needs to go over to, what I will do is put that on the accessory terminal. And the reason being, sometimes when you got an alternator, it'll keep the tractor running. But since we're using this type of key switch that has a accessory position, you can put the charging one on there, and then that way it's not on the same post as the one that triggers the alternator, or the one that triggers the coil, and so then the alternator can't keep it running by accident. That's what can happen. They do make a diode. I've got several of those. I didn't have any of the plugs, but anyway, it's gonna go, friends. So we need to put that brown wire, which I don't know if you can see this or not. We need to figure out which one's the accessory. I think it's the top one. Yeah, accessory. So that brown one needs to go to that. It's going to be hard to keep you in the loop there. And also, yeah. We also need to make a jumper wire from the ignition to the block, and then from the battery up to the gauge, and then we can do our gauges up here as necessary. I should probably go ahead and get the correct, if I have the correct, if I have a socket that fits those nuts. Yes, I do. Because that will be much more better to use a socket than to go in there and start breaking stuff off. Alright. I need to put a ring terminal on this. It's kind of hard for me to see with that light staring me in the face, but we'll keep going a little bit until I can't stand it anymore, and then we'll move on and wait till tomorrow. But I thought it'd be fun to hear it run again tonight, because I got more stuff I want to do to it. Did that have any kind of... No, it does not. Okay. Oh, I don't need to, but I will. Some people don't like it when I tape the ends, but I don't have any of the right size shrink stuff handy, and this works just as well. The budget method. Helping keep stuff clean and dry. It's hard to get it started when you got the fat fingers. Boy, it's a muggy one out here, friends. It is hot and miserable. We want to be gentle so we don't twist off the key stick. Alright, those connections are made. Now we will make a jumper wire to do our ignition. We're going to go from the porcelain resistor block, because that was working in this application, so I'm not going to disturb it. Disturb it? Yeah, I'm not going to mess with it. If something's working, I'm leaving it alone. But that's about the only thing on this electrical system that seemed to be working. Now let's figure out how long this needs to be. It's going to go from there. From there to there. We're going to leave a little bit of slack in it. We're not going to pull it as tight as humanly possible, because we don't want to break stuff off, you see. Plus that gives us some room where we can actually work below the dash, unlike that Massey Ferguson we worked on, where we had a heck of a time getting it fixed, because we couldn't pull the wires down to an area that a guy could work on them. So if we're doing it this way, my hope is that we've provided ourselves with a little bit of happiness, maybe. Alright, now this is going to go up there for keeps. And we need to get that off of there. It's going to be hard to get that one started back, because there's not much room between the wall and the hood, or the bonnet for you folks watching overseas. The bonnet protrudes into my personal space. Even though this is American built, this is one of those tractors that there probably are some overseas, I think. Maybe not. I don't know if any Fords made it, like this early Fords made it overseas, because I know Ferguson and Ford worked together there for a while, but then Ford basically took his patent, and Ferguson was furious and hated Ford till the day he died, so it may be that none of these vintage Fords made it over there. And I thought there were some 9 ends and maybe 2 ends over there, but I don't know about the 8 ends. seems to me I've seen some in videos, but what do I know? I am struggle bussing here, friend. It's one of those where it's tight enough to, you can't hardly do it by hand, but it's not tight enough that it won't trigger the ratchet. Come on, ratchet. This sucks. There we go. Are we good? Now we need to make a battery one out of some heavy gauge wire to jumper from the key to the whatchamee. And what do I have here? That would be overkill. It doesn't really have to be that thick, but I don't care if we want to go the overkill route. I'd rather not, but oh, I do have an end of wire that I think we can use. That's a happy medium. The only reason I don't want to use that thicker one is because of the my terminals will get so huge. But it doesn't need to be a monstrous wire just to run the coil. So I should table what I'm doing and do something else. But I'm starting on the next processy here. We'll come back to that in a minute. It's going to use which wire up here? Oh, that wire right there. It's going to use. Okay. Now that one's going to go up. Go up to that, if it'll stay. And then this one's gonna go. We're gonna go up to that. Actually, those are gonna go to the same place. Let's tie them together a little bit. Try to keep our wiring organized. Because we're getting crowded in there, friends. Come on, get on. Alright, we really need to get the socket for that too, which I probably don't have because it probably fell off the socket rail. This one? Oh yeah. Buddy the dog, what are you doing? Coming out here to see our progress? Well, friends, I'm going to have to call this the end of this video. I really didn't want to have 3 videos on this little thing here, but I already have over an hour's worth of edited footage. It was like 2 hours of messing with this last night. I did get it running again, so I know everything that I did works. You know, I had to temporarily twist wires. I haven't got that plug yet. The store in town shows they've got one in stock, so we can do that. But frustration, friends. We ran into another snafu here, which is his battery, I think, is junk. He said he charged it up for 3 hours the day before when he brought it, which would have been the day of the first video, and it started it no problem. Well, after I put this all back together, it did not want to start it. We'll see what it does today. It just wanted to click. Yeah. So I'm going to have to take his positive cable back off and see if I disturb that. That's a possibility that maybe it's not making connection, because I can fire it right up with the jump box. But when you put the voltage, like, well, let's just do it so you can see what I'm talking about. This jump box will show you voltage. Right there it says 12.4. So that should be adequate to start it. When you put a load on it, it goes down to 4 volts. So I'm saying that his battery might have just gave up the ghost, which is weird, because on that little white Isiki sitting in this exact same spot, when I was about ready to call the owner and say, it's done, come get it, his battery crapped out and I had to replace it for him too. And it had started the tractor the whole time I was working on it. So I'm wondering if I am not facing a similar situation that was just a coincidence. But we will see. But I'm going to, the end of this cable is not very clean, so I'm going to take that off, and I might even just put a new one on and shorten that a little bit so there's not 15 feet of cable there. And then his end on his ground cable is not the best, so I might just go ahead and put a new one on there and make that better and clean up the battery terminals and all that and see what I got, because I mean, he can get his own battery. I just want to make sure that it's running every time consistently and does the thing. But it will start and run from the thing. I guess I could show you that too. I mean, I probably have the gas shut off though. I also bought a new sediment bowl for him, because that one he said was causing trouble. Although I don't know if I concur with the whatever. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, and it does start charging the battery great. Because if I shut off my jump pack, it's showing it's 14.2. So it's doing everything we want it to do. Shows it on the gauge. So we're lucky we didn't, nothing we did went backwards in progress. It's just that it won't, his battery won't do the thing. So I think that's just a strange coincidence that it decided to fail on me. But we made the wiring super nice. I'm happy with it. And I don't know if I said that in the video. I had to look. Maybe I got the clips out of order, but I don't think I had any of that in there. But I did use some of the loom that a viewer sent me. We passed along that good fortune to him on that. So that's nice. The wiring is the appropriate amount of heaviness, which it was not before. It was all pretty thin little... I mean, this was the biggest gauge wire they had, and everything was this or less, and that ain't gonna fly. So we got it all nice in there. It's a lot better. I'm gonna keep that fuse block. I hooked it to the accessory terminal, and that's what's gonna run his headlight switch. And I did some experimentation on that. Unfortunately, I can only get one headlight to light up. So I'm thinking another thing that happened is either this headlight is not getting good ground or the bulb is burned out, as a coincidence now, which he could probably take care of that too, because I don't know how often he actually uses it at night. But at any rate, it is much better than when it came. We just need to do a little odds and ends to button it up, attach things for permanent, which we don't have. We eliminated a lot of sad garbage that it did not need, which is causing trouble. And I also have a new set of metal core spark plug wires that we're going to try to put on there, because there's 2 of his that are cut in pretty aggressively, and there's like 3 different kinds on here. 2 of them are alike that look like they came out of the same set, and then one of them's blue and one of them's red. And so it's been cobbled together, and let's just make it right, you know, so that hopefully he doesn't have to deal with this anymore. And then if he ends up selling it, at least it runs, and he doesn't have to sell it for less than, you know, what he could get if it was in good shape. So we're going to do all these things in the next one and finish her up. But for now, it does run. A majority of the work is done. We just have to do some finishing touches, and spark plug wire set and possibly sediment bowl. I did buy another one. I am not convinced that it's really the sediment bowl, the problem that he said he was having, which was, I guess I left the gas on. Oops. But he said that when he fills it over half a tank, the sediment bowl starts leaking. And I just wondered if it wasn't leaking somewhere else in the tank and it was running down to there and running off of the sediment bowl, because that's the lowest point. I don't know. That sediment bowl is kind of garbage though, because somebody lost the screw for the handle and just tried to put a different screw in, and it's not very appropriate, but we'll make that decision later. I want to get the rest of it wrapped up and made right, and then we will go from there. So as always, friends, thank you for watching. All of your interaction with the videos helps. You know, leave comments, like, subscribe if you haven't. All that stuff is free for you, but it helps me out a bunch, and then it lets me be able to, you know, pass on the good times to others, like working on this 8-in Ford for somebody. So anyway, we're going to leave this video here, and as always, friends, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. As always, if you enjoy my videos, give them a thumbs up. Leave a comment and tell me how dumb you think I am. Or if by some slim chance you liked it, say that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.